Welcome to Smart Business Show for December 8th. It's episode 146. So somebody asked me in the YouTube questions, because if you're listening to this on podcast, I put them all up on YouTube as well. How do I do scoring for my 12-week year? And they were finding it interesting how I was doing my 12-week year and how I do scoring. The truth is, I don't do scoring much like they recommend, like they do. I really only ask myself four questions every week. And these four questions are, number one is connect. Who did I connect with on the phone or in person this week? According to, again, where I pulled these questions, the email doesn't count. So I wonder about that because of how digital everything has been for me for so long. But I really work to make a voice, phone, video, or in-person connection. So number two is, who did I invite into coaching this week? If you are a developer, you would be like, who did I get on the phone? Or who did I invite into like a discovery process with? That's the second question I answered, and I put names down to that. And the third question is, how many people took me up on that? So basically, how many people took me up on a coaching experience? If you're developing, then that, or designing, it would be how many people took you up on the discovery process. And then fourth is, how much in dollars did I propose for coaching this week? Those are the only four questions really that I ask myself for scoring every week. Yeah, and then I look at, I've shown a few times in previous videos, my calendar for how I planned my 12 weeks. And that kind of has gone a little bit out the window. But I've still, I finished another book this week. I finished my book, as I call it, the 2016 best books and the thoughts out of those best books. So that is done. The text, I need to put together cover, and I need to do some other stuff, which will be next week. But that's done. There's two other books I wanted to launch this year, and unlikely to happen. Maybe one more, but I find that unlikely even. So I will launch those in Q1. One of them would be the Freelance Idiots book, and the other one would be the top posts book. So the top posts I have on my site kind of forever. And then I've actually come up with a third book, of course. A third book would be all around productivity and analog task management, because I do that. I do bullet journal, more or less. I do analog task management, and then how I use Trello with my clients. So that would be the final book that I will possibly release in January. I'd like to release it in January. It'll be a series of blog posts on my site as well. So, and that's how I do my scoring for the 12-week year. I suppose I don't, is the shortest version. I took 2.5 minutes to say I don't. That's what I do. So after this, what you're going to see is an interview with Jason Resnick, and we're talking about coaching. So I've been doing coaching with Jason for a while. You can find him on Twitter at REZZZ, or his site is REZZZ. Yes, that's three of them, .com. We're talking about coaching and why the benefit and what benefits he's found. So I hope you enjoy that. Have a great day. So today we are talking with Jason. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do, Jason?
Sure. Web developer by trade. I've really focused in on recurring revenue for my business, helping establish e-commerce websites, increase conversions through strategy and implementation.
Cool. So you're the drip guy?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, I say that as a joke as our conversation just before this coaching wise, but Jason does a lot of stuff, work with drip and your cart to help you just make more conversions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, all exactly right.
So how has your business changed based on interactions?
Well, at first it was more like I know what I need to do, but accountability was lacking. I mean, I'm a solo business owner, right? I don't have a team. I don't have, somebody checking up on me doing, are you doing this and that and the other? So
well, you do. His name's TJ, right? He just bangs on the window and says, "Daddy, come on."
Right.
What are you doing?
But I mean, so at first I was like, okay, you know what? I need some level of accountability to propel the business in the way that I want it to propel to, right? To move the needle much quicker than I'd been doing it. But also, I like to surround myself with smarter people, right? Smarter people than I, maybe people that are further down the road than I am, have different experiences to be able to do that. So, and I had been following you, for a while, and a lot of the stuff resonated with me, like say no and that kind of stuff. Like just me being in New York, is sometimes I'm a little blunt, more blunt than some people. So, I was like, hey, look, this guy is on the other side of the continent,
And in Canada, they're supposed to be polite.
And in Canada, yeah. and he's doing it. So why can't I do it? So it was like a natural thing. I was like, okay, let me see what, if we can work together.
And so what changed though in your business since then? We helped with accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what else has really changed in the business?
Yeah, to be able to move the needle, right? So one of the things that I was really passionate about was helping other freelancers, and it was a casual thing, right? So it was, maybe a link through an email or a hallway chat in a conference room, that kind of thing. And I had always wanted to kind of build a product for that. I never really knew how or what kind of version or whatever. But nonetheless, to be able to have that accountability and advice and thoughts, be able to bounce some ideas around, especially within the group too, allowed me to outline what I needed to do, formulate what it was that I was going to build, and then just built it, right? And be able to segment my time from my services, my clients and stuff, to be able to make that happen, right? And, it slowly moved, but it moved, and now there's an asset for me, right? So now I can, grow that and nurture that in a way that, if, I don't know that if it would have ever gotten built.
So you mentioned group there, and Jason was originally in group coaching, and now you've moved to one-on-one coaching recently. Why did you make that move as well?
I think it was more for the focus of it, right? Like the group coaching is great. Getting thoughts from the other people in the group was awesome, and just be able to meet other people too is great, and have some laughs and things like that too. But to be able to really make that impact, and I just bought a house. I have a under a year old baby, so we're and it's now I'm the sole income, right? So like it's on me, right? So I really want to be aggressive and push the envelope of the business without having to essentially like hemorrhage money, maybe make wrong hires if I have to hire somebody, that kind of stuff, and really stay focused in on the prize.
Cool. So how has the interactions with your family changed? And you said you had a baby now, right? And your wife is home now because her job situation changed. But how has our work helped that even aspect of it?
Yeah, I think it's good because it's still like, I mean, I even have conversations with my wife, whether start complaining about something like work related, right? And I'm like, like sometimes your voice will come into my head and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's not that important, so, so sometimes it's that's kind of just having that grounding effect, is good, right? Like that for me was a big difference because, she's taking care of TJ and all that stuff all day long. And, she just might want to chill out at night, not hear about something,
It takes a lot of energy, right?
Yep.
I've written about kids are the worst clients. They don't care about anything. They're like just going to yell at you when they want something. And there's like very little reward ultimately, like at least like in the moment, in a day, right?
Right.
There is reward in that day, right? So it's tough.
Right.
It's tough on the spouse that stays home, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's, and to be able to know that I'm focused in on the prize, right? Like so, like we have the updates, right? Whether it's weekly or biweekly or whatever, just to know that, hey, this is what I'm going to do next week or next period of time, and then know that that's coming up. Like, okay,
and I'm going to ask you why focus. Not if it didn't happen, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. So to say like, hey, look, client work got in the way, that might fly for, a little bit, but is the client work moving the needle, right? You're moving their needle, right? But are you moving your needle? So,
or even the admission, right? Sometimes the client work keeps getting in the way. Well, is your other idea really important then? Because your time doesn't show that. Oh, you're right. Right? We've done. I'm not sure we've done that with you. I don't remember now because we've been doing coaching for a while now. But
yeah, I mean, it's funny because you said numerous times you're not going to find time in the couch cushion, right? So
you do not have a time machine. You do not find time. Right? There's no making time.
Right? So you have to prioritize it, and that is good because to know what you want, make it important, right?
Tell me about roadblocks and how that changed. That was just like a conversation 2 weeks ago or something, right?
Right. Yeah. So to be able to think about your goals is one thing, right? And you had mentioned, why don't you think about what are the roadblocks for those goals? And I'd never really thought about it too much, okay, but you said when those roadblocks are going to hit, how are you going to approach them? What are you going to do to resolve those roadblocks? So, a couple days went by and I thought about it, and because it happened, right? Like I had a softball game and I was standing at third base and I'm like going through the motions, hey, there's a guy on first base, ball comes to me. What am I going to do with the ball? I'm like, wait a second. That's exactly what Curtis was talking about with the roadblocks, and why I never did that before. It's just anticipating it because there's that fight or flight or indecision. Like you're going to have to think about something as it happens. But if you think about it beforehand, it's just, that it's going to happen. So you're going to do this. Right. So there's that calming, level-headed kind of decision-making that happens there. And, now I'm just, okay, I kind of know where my roadblocks could happen. And if they don't, if they happen, then I just ask myself the one question. And if it doesn't stay online with my goals, then.
I think it even helps too. Like I was talking with a client last week and I was like, what's the roadblocks? Like, well, the babysitter doesn't show up. And he was saying that if the babysitter doesn't show up, and his wife, who was in the coaching session too, said, oh, we'll just get them to come half hour early. He's like, and he didn't even think about it. So we just basically eliminated that roadblock, right? So that she should be there before his wife has to leave so that he can go do the work in half an hour later, right? Even just to eliminate them up front by making them irrelevant.
Yep.
Cool. So why would you recommend working with me to a colleague?
I just think you direct, but you also listen. And, you kind of, what's nice is that you absorb what somebody's saying, right? And you'll offer suggestions, but you'll offer suggestions in a way that makes sense for what that person's going through. So, me and you are developers, but, so we kind of have similar things. But I've seen you also work with other people that are not so much developers, and to be able to offer them suggestions that fits their business and their lifestyle and that kind of thing. It's not, you don't always find that in a coach or a mentor.
No, it's super fun. I have a party rental company. It's interesting how much overlaps and how much striving for new ideas and how to help them with their business as well. I like that part. Cool. Well, thank you for your time today, Jason. Also notice Jason has a course. He's wearing his wonderful shirt. Why don't you should show off the shirt? Called Feast. And where's your site, Jason?
It's rezz.com. That's
which
3 Z's.
REZZD.com. Thanks, man.
Thanks.